also forms a network around here. Okay, this artery, it also forms a network over here. They too form a network. Okay, it forms a network. Understood? So from here, this will be your vein which is coming out. Okay, so the structure of nephron, what does it have? It has Bowman's capsule, and we call this as glomerulus. What is this glomerulus? It is the network of capillaries. Glomerulus is the network of capillaries. This part is the Bowman's capsule which holds the network of capillaries. Okay, understood? So this is the structure of nephron. So there are millions of such nephrons inside the kidney. Okay, many nephrons are inside this kidney. So what happens? As I've told you, the artery, it will branch out. So as it is branching, the blood is filtered here. Okay, the blood gets filtered here and the filtrate is collected at the Bowman's capsule. And these capillaries, as they move on, okay, as these capillaries, you can see it is forming a network. So as the blood is flowing through these capillaries, now this filtration, it goes on filtering, children. Okay, the filtration process continues over here. So in the proximal renal tube, as well as in the loop of Henle, as well as at the, this we are calling it as distal tube. Distal tube. Okay, understood? Okay, so uh, the blood is filtered in these capillaries when it is passing through this network of tubes. Okay, through this nephron tubes. Understood? So now I have, you can see there's a change over in color. In the last class I have told you how arteries, they will branch out to form capillaries, renal, I mean artery capillaries. Then again these capillaries will again join to form veins. So same thing is happening. Now you can see that the red part, we can say that it is arteries, whereas the blue part we can say that as veins. So again after the blood is filtered, the veins will collect the filtered blood and it will move transported in the body. So now when the capillaries are or through the capillaries, when the blood is being passed, it is being filtered. Now at this part, that is mostly at the loop of Henle, the water will be reabsorbed. Okay, our body, depending upon the environment or depending upon the presence of water, it will reabsorb the water over here. That means it will conserve the water over here. Now you can see this as an example. Mostly during summer, as the temperature outside is very hot, you pass urine few times. Understood? But during winter, as the temperature is more, okay, the kidneys will release more water, or here the absorption of reabsorption of water takes place less. Okay, so so this is how the what you call our kidney works. So in this, so if you see here, this collecting tubes has many branches over here. So what happens, this collecting tube, in this collecting tube, many such nephrons will come and pass the urine or the excretory waste. So this collecting duct, okay, it will form the ureters, which we have just seen in the part of kidney. I'll once again show to you. So here, if I draw a simple diagram, okay, so many such collecting ducts will form your ureters, children. Understood? So they'll come and form the ureters. So in the ureters, the urine will be passed and it will be stored in the urinary bladder. Okay, it will be stored in the urinary bladder. So when the bladder is filled, now this bladder muscles are connected to the brain. So when it is filled, it sends a signal to our brain that it has to be emptied. So that is when you feel the urge to pass urine. So this is how the human excretory system works. Okay, is it clear? Any doubts, children? Hmm. It will be released to the cells. Okay, the veins, it will be absorbed here and it will be again released to the cells or into the blood. Okay, understood? So there is a, and mostly children, one more thing here, the filtration mostly occurs through the process of both diffusion as well as osmosis. Okay, and once again, yeah, thank you ma. In the lower organisms, mostly the excretion will take place with the in the process of diffusion. Okay, because they are always as it is a single celled organism, that cell is in contact with the environment, so the passage of waste or the nutrients will apply only the diffusion process. Okay, the reabsorbed blood will again be transferred into reabsorbed water will be again transferred to the blood bag. Okay, see what is happening here, arteries are entering. We all know that arteries will enter, it will branch out to form capillaries. Again, those capillaries will join to form veins. So when these blood capillaries are passed through this nephron, the excretion process is occurring. That means the filtration process is occurring throughout in this blood. Okay, but mostly at this loop of Henle, water absorption takes place. Okay, understood? And see, normally you might have heard the process of dialysis. Understood? So what is dialysis? So artificial dialysis instrument is used, where sometimes due to some health problems or some kidney problems, a person kidney may not work properly. So artificially we use a dialysis which works on the same principle. Understood? But there's a bag attached which has to be manually, what you call, have to be removed or cleaned. Okay, that is what about excretion in human beings. Is it clear? Yes. Next, moving on to excretion in plants. Okay, now we'll go to excretion in plants. So even plants also generate waste. Okay, so how does this waste is removed in plants? So what is the main so in photosynthesis, can you tell me what is the waste generated? Someone, can anyone tell me during photosynthesis what is the waste generated? Yes?
Oxygen.
Very good. So during photosynthesis, oxygen is the waste. And remember children, even though we tell that plants perform photosynthesis, they also perform respiration. Respiration will be performed irrespective of whatever the living organism is. From the minute bacteria to a large elephant or a whale, from a small plant or like a algae to a big whatever called bamboo plants, everything will perform respiration. But why mostly we say photosynthesis? Because the rate of photosynthesis is in plants is greater when we compare to respiration. Understood? So here oxygen is a waste product which is generated during photosynthesis along with water. So how does this oxygen and water are released outside? Yes, we have learned this through stomata. Stomata are the openings which are present in the on the surface of leaf. Okay, so from there carbon dioxide will get in and oxygen and water in the form of water vapor will move out or released out. Apart from this, okay, apart from oxygen, you might have seen some plants have like gummy structure like resins or gums, latex, or you can see some plants when you cut, what happens? They'll have some whitish, some branches when you cut, they'll have some whitish fluid which is coming out of that. Okay, so some plants, what happens? It is stored in the barks, and we have studied in your 9th standard. Most of these what you call plant cells or plant tissues are dead cells. Okay, so in these dead cells, the waste will be accumulated. So you might have seen in the especially neem plant, you may see in the bark the resin or the gum which is present in the bark. So this is how what you call excretion happens in plants. Along with this, sometimes some excretory products are also released through the soil from the roots. Okay, so in excretion in plants is a very small topic. Mainly you have to remember that oxygen and water vapor, it is released through stomata to the environment. Okay, then we also have resins, gums, latex which are stored in the plant. Okay, dead tissues or dead plant cells. And one more way of excretion, we can say that usually the plants have this habit of shedding the leaves. That means the waste leaves, whatever it is there, it will just shed itself. Understood? That means it will cut itself. So this is how plants will excrete the waste generated in it. Okay, so with this topic we have come to the end of this chapter. Any doubts you have anywhere? Yes children, you have got doubts anywhere? Anyone? Okay. So what did we learn in this chapter? We have learned about the modes of nutrition. Just again, as I have time, I'll just tell you briefly. I'll just recall what we have learned. We have learned about life processes, in that mainly the nutrition. So in nutrition, what we have learned? Autotrophic as well as autotrophic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, so autotrophic mode of nutrition is seen in plants and what you call blue green algae as well as algae. That means they can prepare their own food. Whereas heterotrophic mode of nutrition, in that also we have learnt about holozoic, saprophytic and saprophytic or saprotrophic as well as parasitic. Holozoic, you can think ourselves as example. We take in the food, digest it inside our body. Saprophytic, they will they will excrete or secrete enzymes outside, they will digest it outside and then they will absorb the nutrients. Example is fungi. Then parasitic is it will feed on another living organism to get its nutrients, that is parasitic. And that is about nutrition. Again in that nutrition we have learnt about the human digestive system, which is the, what is the organ in the human digestive system? Alimentary canal. Okay, so in this human alimentary canal is there, which starts from the mouth and ends at the anus. Through this process the food is chewed properly in the mouth. Okay, it mixes with the saliva. Now here what is the important point of small 1 mark questions which you have to remember is, where does the actual digestion starts? Don't think that it is in stomach. It starts in the mouth itself, where starch is acted upon by the salivary enzyme. Okay, salivary enzyme, that is amylase. So from the mouth it enters into the stomach. Again, when we are learning about stomach, what are the points to be remembered when we are learning about the stomach? So stomach, the pH will be acidic. Okay, the pH will be acidic. Or which acid is secreted by the stomach glands? HCl. Okay, understood. And what is the function of HCl there? It kills the germs which enters into the stomach through the food, and also it acts what you call, it makes the uh, stomach medium acidic. So why acidic medium is necessary? Certain enzymes, okay, certain protein enzymes need acidic environment to act upon the nutrients. Okay, so that is the reason why the stomach pH is acidic. So from there the food enters into the small intestine. Okay, in the small intestine, now the small intestinal walls, from the liver bile juice is secreted, from the pancreas pancreatic juice is secreted, and also intestinal walls also secrete some enzymes. So this mixture of enzymes act on the food. So I have told you already different components of food, mainly 3 components. carbohydrates or sugars. Don't get confused. What are sugars? Carbohydrates or sugars, proteins. Okay, carbohydrates will be broken down into glucose. The final product is glucose. Proteins, the final product is amino acids. Fats, the final product is fatty acids as well as glycerol. Okay, so now liver. Now here again you remember about liver. So what is the function of liver? Liver secretes bile juice. Okay, so what does it do? This bile juice, it will act on the fats. There are fat globules. Okay, you might think, you might know, when in the water, if you pour a drop of oil or if you pour oil, it will form a large globule. It will float on the water. So same thing in our stomach, this fat will be in the presence of a globule, which will be broken down into small fat globules with the help of this bile juice. Okay, so then again we have pancreatic juice. So even the pancreas also secrete enzymes, that is peptin, trypsin and all, which will act upon the proteins. And intestinal enzymes, they will act on the carbohydrates. So all these will digest the food. So where does complete digestion of food occurs? It occurs in the small intestine. Okay, and the small intestine have finger like projections, which we call them as villi. Okay, small intestine has a, intestinal walls have finger like projections. Okay, if you think this as the walls, so like these, some finger like projections are there inside the small intestine, which will increase the area of absorption of the small intestine, and here the nutrients are absorbed into the blood. Okay, so in from these villi, the nutrients are absorbed into the blood. Okay, so this is about the small intestine. So then what is the function of large intestine? The undigested food. Okay, the undigested food will pass through the large intestine. It is stored at the rectum. Okay, when it is full, it will expelled out through the anus. That is the function of small intestine, that human digestive system. Now moving on to the respiratory system. So what is the main organ in respiratory system? Yes, lungs is the main organ in respiratory system. So again in the respiration we have to remember the how does respiration is in what types. Okay, so that is depending upon the oxygen, depending on oxygen. Can anyone tell me what are the different types of respiration we see, or breakdown of glucose? Okay, so what happens here? Glucose is broken down to pyruvate in the cytoplasm. Okay, in the cytoplasmic region, glucose is broken down to pyruvate. Now this pyruvate, based upon the presence of oxygen, okay, is of three types, which forms ATP. Okay, ATP is the energy currency. Now pyruvate to ATP, it occurs in mitochondria. So many living organisms. Yeah, I was waiting for some answer, children. Who will answer me? Yes, depending.
Aerobic and anaerobic.
Yes, Chandana, very good. What do you, can you elaborate? What is aerobic? Chandana? Aerobic as anaerobic. Annie, can you tell? Yeah, aerobic organisms are those organisms which break down the pyruvate. Okay, glucose to pyruvate is a common step, children. For all the organisms, glucose to pyruvate is a common step. So aerobic organisms, here pyruvate is broken down to form, yeah, what is the byproduct there? Carbon dioxide, energy as well as water. Okay, energy here is ATP. Understood? So pyruvate, from glucose to pyruvate, it is the common step for all the modes of respiration. Pyruvate in the presence of oxygen. Oxygen plus. Okay. Pyruvate, carbon dioxide, energy, water. So in the absence of oxygen, what do we call them as? Anaerobic. Right? So pyruvate is broken down to form, what do we get here, the byproduct as? Alcohol or ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy is released over in this process, anaerobic process, which is in the absence of oxygen. Okay, so this anaerobic process is used industrially, that is the use of yeast for the preparation of alcohol as well as in the bread making. It has an industrial application. Next we have when the oxygen levels are less. Okay, when the oxygen levels are less. Okay, so here what happens, this happens mostly in the muscle cells, which will give us the byproduct will be lactic acid. Okay, as well as carbon dioxide is with the formation of energy here. So I have told you, when we do more of physical activity, the oxygen levels will be less. To compensate that, pyruvate will be broken down. So when it is breaking down in the less amount of oxygen, lactic acid is released, which will be accumulated in the muscle cells and will cause you a stinging pain or muscle cramps. So that is why when you do a lot of physical activity, you will feel muscle pains. But after some time, this acid will be again converted back, or if you take a cold shower or a hot shower, this acid will be distributed, so you will feel less pain. So that is what in the modes of respiration or in the breakdown of glucose. Again we have the respiratory system, which is about the lungs. Okay. Understood, children? So in the last class I have asked you people to draw a sketch of the heart. Most of you have done that work and you have sent me very well, but today you will be drawing the structure of the kidney as well as structure of nephron. Okay. Yes, please go through your textbooks. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the next class. Okay, do you have any doubts now, children? Yes?
No, ma'am.
Okay then. Okay, children, I'll end the class now. Thank you.